Hello and welcome to Campus 101 exam series. My name is Dr. Piro. Today we're going to be looking at cycles. In your exam, usually one question comes out that represents cycles. It is usually water cycle, carbon cycle, or nitrogen cycle. Alright, so these are three topics that are usually very commonly asked in your exam. In this video, we're going to be looking at water and carbon cycle. There will be another video that will be explaining nitrogen cycle to us. So let's dive into water cycle immediately. Now, what is water? Yeah, we drink it every day, but usually we don't think about what it actually is. Now, water is. I'm waiting for your answer. Alright, water is an odorless, colorless, and tasteless liquid substance that is made up of two atoms of hydrogen and one atom of oxygen. 90% of the earth is covered in water, and the human body, about 60% of the human body is made up of water. So you see how important water is. So it's important, and then we know that water flows. Water flows from the atmosphere to the soil, and then from the soil to the seas, and then back to the atmosphere. So there is a circulation of water in the environment, and it involves both living things and non-living things. So that is what constitutes water cycle. The circulation of water from the atmosphere to the environment involving plants and animals. So quickly, let me just label what I have here. So this is my plant, this is my animal. By the way, anytime they ask you for a cycle, make sure you present the atmosphere, you present the soil. So as you can see, the red line differentiates between the earth up there and then soil down here for me. Alright, most cycles require the atmosphere, the soil, plants and animals, and then this will be my industries. Alright, so these are my industries. Alright, so these are my industries. Now let's get down to business. Alright, so let's start from up to down. So water comes from the atmosphere down to the earth. Alright, so let me see my arrow there. In form of, I'll call this precipitation. Now precipitation includes rain, dew, and any other form in which water can come from the sky, including hail, fog, etc. So any way, mist, drizzles, anything, any way that water comes from the atmosphere to the earth, we regard it as what? Precipitation. Alright, so water comes down and most abundantly as rain. Alright, now this water comes into the soil here and then forms what? Soil water. Alright, so soil water. Now soil water goes this way. Here, plants take up water through their root system, and then they use it for everything, including photosynthesis and all that. Then plants lose water to the atmosphere via a process called what? Exactly. Not photosynthesis, transpiration. Plants lose water to the atmosphere through transpiration. Animals also take up water from the soil, and then they lose it to the atmosphere in several ways. But a very important method why animals lose water to the atmosphere is what? Respiration. So as you breathe out, some water molecules comes with the carbon dioxide and then goes to the atmosphere. Now some of this water, soil water and then surface water, run off to make up what? Exactly, the seas. So I represent my sea here in blue. So just assume this is the sea. Alright, so soil water and surface water runs down into the sea. So let's call this the sea. Now from the sea, via evaporation, water goes back to the atmosphere. Can you see we have a cycle going already? The only part of this cycle that we've not touched now are industry, or one man does. Here, industries take up water from the soil or from the sea, and then they use it, and in the process of using, they heat up water, and then this water goes back to the atmosphere as steam through the process of evaporation and returns to the atmosphere. So we have a cycle here moving already. So water in the atmosphere comes down as rain, gets into the soil water. Industries take soil water, lose it via evaporation to the atmosphere. Plants take up water, lose it via transpiration. Animals take up water, lose it via respiration to the atmosphere. The seas accumulate water and then lose it to the atmosphere via the process of what? Evaporation. So this constitutes roughly This constitutes water cycle. Now let's look at the carbon cycle. All right. So I have my carbons. I have my, a little bit of a schematic diagram here already. So as I told you, most cycle will require what? Atmosphere. All right. So I have my plants here. I have animals here. All right. I have animals here. I have my soil. I have air. And then of course I have my industries. All right. So carbon cycle. The carbon cycle. Carbon is so important. It is an element, and it is a very important, represented by the symbol C. It's a very important element, forms a very important part and a major part of living organisms and the fuel that is used. Petrol contains carbon, man contains carbon, plants contain carbon. Even the pen you are using to write contains carbon. So carbon is a very important component of the environment. So let's look at the carbon cycle. First off, there's carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. All right. So there's carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Plants take up carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and then they use carbon dioxide to produce what? Exactly. Plants use carbon dioxide to produce fruits, food. All right. So let's say starch. They use it to make starch. Animals take up the starch as food. Animals break down this food and then for energy. And then what do we breathe out? Exactly. We breathe out carbon dioxide. So by the process of respiration, animals lose back carbon to the atmosphere. Plants take it and use photosynthesis to what? To trap carbon dioxide. So we already have one cycle going here in terms of carbon. Now, some of that plants, not all plants get eaten. Some of those plants die. When the plants die, there are two ways. They can decompose, and when they decompose, bacteria use the process of chemosynthesis to produce food. Animals take up this food again, and then the cycle continues. Via respiration, it is lost. The other way is some of these plants will be buried in the earth. When they are buried in the earth over a long period of time, it constitutes what we call fossil fuel. Right? Fossil fuel in terms of coal. Remember, there's a video on renewable and non-renewable energy. You can go and look at it to know the difference between natural gas and all that. So fossil fuel. Now fossil fuel is taken up by industries. Yeah, this is my diagram of my industry. And then these industries burn the fossil fuel, and then it releases carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere by this process of combustion. So here already we have a cycle of carbon going in and out of the environment already. So this constitutes the carbon cycle. Don't forget, usually in the exam, it is either water cycle, carbon cycle, or nitrogen cycle. We started with water cycle, saying there's water in the atmosphere in the form of steam. All right, and then it comes down as precipitation into soil water. Plants use soil water, animals use soil water, industries use soil water. Some get into the sea, eventually it gets up there back into the atmosphere, and then we have the cycle running. Then we looked at carbon cycle. We said carbon dioxide exists in the atmosphere. It is taken up by plants via the process of what? Photosynthesis. Plants make starch. Animals consume plants, and then they respire, and then they take back all that carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere. We say some plants will die and be decomposed, and then be used also to make food. Animals take up this food and respire and lose this carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere. We said some plants will become fossil fuel. Some animals too will become fossil fuel. Industries burn this fossil fuel, and then it returns back to the atmosphere as carbon. And then here we have a carbon cycle going already. Thank you. So see you in the next of the videos where we'll be discussing other important topics in biology as regards to your exam.